Landing a role in a Marvel movie means potential stardom for up-and-coming actors, renewed popularity for aging vets, and a fat paycheck for anyone willing to don a cool metal suit. But despite Marvel's impact on the modern movie business, not every actor's keen to put on a mask and do battle with alien armies. Here are a few actors who refused big Marvel roles. Russell Crowe. These days, Marvel movies are guaranteed to bring in big numbers at the box office, but before the year 2000, that wasn't necessarily the case. Fortunately, things started to change for Marvel when Bryan Singer's X-Men first hit the big screen. It's credited as the film that gave rise to the modern era of superhero movies and transformed Hugh Jackman from a stage performer into a Hollywood A-lister. But according to the actor, it was pure luck he got the part in the first place. At one point, the filmmakers turned to Russell Crowe to play Wolverine, who was fresh off the set of Gladiator. However, Crowe turned the part down for a reason that's, well, a little weird.
Well, I'd just done a character whose, animal totem was a wolf. That fellow Max in Gladiator didn't want to be connected to a wolf again.
Of course, Crowe further clarified his reasoning.
And plus, it's a cartoon.
It was a cartoon.
I'm not really into those.
But that didn't really stop him from appearing in Man of Steel. Luckily for superhero fans everywhere, he did recommend that Bryan Singer go with Hugh Jackman, who'd previously auditioned for the part. Matt Damon. As hard as we try, no one can forget 2003's Daredevil. While the Ben Affleck flick did well financially, critics tore it apart. When asked about the film in 2016, Affleck responded,
"Because I hated Daredevil so much, you know what I mean? And I was in it, and I did okay, don't feel bad for me."
Turns out that Affleck could have been spared all that embarrassment if his best friend had accepted the role first. Matt Damon was offered the part of Daredevil, and it was a pretty tempting deal, since Damon and Affleck considered Daredevil to be their favorite superhero. But when Damon was approached with the project, reportedly, he just wasn't impressed with the script or familiar enough with the director. Affleck couldn't say no, and has come to regret that decision. But at least Daredevil's failure inspired him to get his next superhero movie right. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Over the years, there have been a lot of whispers about Joseph Gordon-Levitt in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but JGL has denied them all, from Doctor Strange to Ant-Man. Nevertheless, according to Deadline, the actor was in the running for the role of Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, which he allegedly turned down to play the character of Johnny in Sin City, A Dame to Kill For, which probably wasn't a great choice for Gordon-Levitt, but we're pretty happy with Chris Pratt. Olivia Munn. When Deadpool hit theaters in early 2016, moviegoers went wild for the film's raunchy humor and bloody shootouts. X-Men Apocalypse, on the other hand, wasn't quite so successful, limping away from theaters with a Rotten Tomatoes score of 48%. But none of these numbers really mattered to Olivia Munn. Before signing up to play the role of Psylocke in X-Men, Munn was first offered the role of Vanessa Carlyle, Deadpool's scrappy girlfriend. Munn turned the part down in favor of playing the spandex-clad mutant, saying that she wasn't interested in playing the protagonist's eye candy. Instead, she wanted to be a character with powerful abilities, extreme fighting skills, and a costume that's pretty much underpants. Mel Gibson. It was a coup for Marvel's movies when award winner Anthony Hopkins agreed to join the MCU as Odin, Thor's father and king of Asgard. While he seems like an obvious pick for the role, he wasn't the only actor in the running for the All-Father. In an interview with The Guardian, Mel Gibson explained that he was asked to play Odin, but as he succinctly put it, "I didn't do it." At first glance, the action star seems like an odd pick to play the stately Norse god, but with a solid background in Shakespearean theatre, Gibson probably would have felt comfortable with Odin's aristocratic dialogue. Of course, with all the controversy surrounding the actor, it was probably best for the MCU that Gibson turned down the part. Jessica Chastain. Iron Man 3 was the second highest grossing domestic movie of 2013, and its praise and profit isn't undeserved. Audiences enjoyed witty dialogue, a brilliant plot twist, and one of the greatest ending set pieces in Marvel movie history. The only thing it really lacked was Jessica Chastain. The studio wanted Chastain to play the part of Maya Hansen, a scientist who may or may not be on Tony Stark's side. Unfortunately, Chastain had to pass on the role because she was just too busy. She said to her Facebook fans, "I know many of you want me to be involved and I'm sorry to disappoint you. Hopefully there will be another Marvel film in my future." Of course, it isn't like Chastain's decision hurt her career. After she turned down the role, it went to Rebecca Hall. Originally, Maya Hansen was supposed to be the ultimate villain of the film, but someone up the chain of command ordered writer-director Shane Black to make the bad guy a dude because female action figures supposedly don't sell that well, leaving Hall in a much less important role than anticipated. Joaquin Phoenix. When Marvel Studios was preparing to introduce audiences to Dr. Stephen Strange, there were a few names at the top of their list. They were allegedly interested in the likes of Jared Leto and Ryan Gosling, but it seems Joaquin Phoenix came even closer to landing the gig. The Oscar-nominated star ultimately decided to pass on the Sorcerer Supreme because he didn't feel he would do well in his studio full of green screens, and the role went to Benedict Cumberbatch. However, there was a brief bit of time where it seemed Cumberbatch wouldn't be able to wear the cloak of levitation, as he'd already signed up to play Hamlet in a London stage production. To accommodate Cumberbatch's schedule, the studio ended up pushing back Doctor Strange's release date. Emily Blunt. Marvel realized Emily Blunt's action star potential long before the rest of us. As Kevin Feige and Jon Favreau prepared to shoot Iron Man 2, they offered the English actress one of the biggest roles in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow. Unfortunately for Blunt, the timing just didn't work out. She was busy with the Jack Black comedy Gulliver's Travels and had to pass on playing the Russian super spy, which was a pretty huge mistake. Marvel still really wanted Blunt to join the MCU, so when it came time to film Captain America, the First Avenger, execs asked if she'd be interested in playing Steve Rogers' capable love interest, Peggy Carter. Once again, the timing was off and the part went to Hayley Atwell. In a 2012 interview with Vulture, Blunt admitted that she's still open to a superhero role as long as she gets to play a hero, saying, "Usually, the female parts in a superhero film feel thankless. She's the pill girlfriend while the guys are whizzing around saving the world." Matthew McConaughey. If you've seen Guardians of the Galaxy, it's easy to see why people are incredibly psyched for its sci-fi sequel, and it seems like any actor in Hollywood would gladly sign up for a trip to Xandar. For example, both Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell will appear alongside Chris Pratt, but despite all the excitement, not every actor is willing to soar off into space with Star-Lord. In an interview with Playboy, Oscar winner Matthew McConaughey said he was offered a role in Volume 2, but turned it down to appear in an adaptation of Stephen King's The Dark Tower, saying, "I like Guardians of the Galaxy, but what I saw was, it's successful, and now we've got room to make a colourful part for another big-name actor. I'd feel like an amendment." McConaughey didn't say which part he was offered in Volume 2, though most agree he would have played a villain. Still, the Guardians sequel should be plenty of fun even without McConaughey in the film, though it would be a lot cooler if he signed up.
Action! And there's the chick. All right, all right, all right.
Thanks for watching. Click the looper icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.